doing?
Ah, all right.
All right. Some dear old lady has to barricade herself into a bedroom because her daughter and her cretinous old man want to shovel off into OAP prison. It's diabolical, right?
Right.
Selfish slags. People like that make me sick. I mean, he actually...
All of that was muted. Hello everyone. That was hello everyone and welcome to another Fowl Original with me, Fowl Original. Now, as I said, as you might not have heard any of that, but that was a little show called London's Burning, which was about a show where London was burning and firemen and stuff. If you know Robinson and Jerome, then you may have heard this. Oh, my love, my darling, I hunger for your touch. So those guys sang that song, and that was Robson and Jerome. They came from London's Burning. There were two firemen with fisticuffs to save everyone. And isn't that what we want, really? It's a fireman to save everyone. But today, welcome to Fowl Originals Newsround. And as the title doth say, Nike release Kaepernick ad online to be premiered on NFL Thursday night's opening game. Hashtag just do it. Now, the reason why I started with a video where there was, firemen and stuff, which is because what this has meant for the world. Now, Nike have been known to be controversial in many years. And yesterday I spoke about how it was controversial for Nike to have produced stuff in sweatshops, but now it's controversial for them to use people that potentially are un-American. So this un-American individual, Mr. Kaepernick, now he is going to be in this ad. Now let's have a little, see if I can do this. Let's have a little look at the ad, because I think it's a very interesting ad. So I found it on the Twitters. Let's just come back over here. And let's crack it open. Oh, might be able to see, can I make it bigger? Can I make you bigger? How do I make you bigger? Let's go to Colin Kaepernick's Twitter. And that seems like it's so it's believe in something even if it means sacrificing everything. It's on my Twitter timeline, so let's pop over here. And it's had 2.7 million views already. So let's have a little watch. Let's see what's so offensive about this, because I am very intrigued. Let's just go. Let's go.
If people say your dreams are crazy, if they laugh at what you think you can do, good. Stay that way. Because what non-believers fail to understand is that calling a dream crazy is not an insult. It's a compliment. Don't try to be the fastest runner in your school or the fastest in the world. Be the fastest ever. Don't picture yourself wearing OBJ's jersey. Picture OBJ wearing yours. Don't settle for homecoming queen or linebacker.
Now, I want to stop it there, mainly because I'm not going to give Nike a full ad space in my show. They're not getting 2 minutes of my show. So instead, we're just going to skip it forward a bit. Now, this is the gentleman, Mr. Colin Kaepernick. Let's just play it from here.
Believe in something, even if it means sacrificing that.
There you go, yeah. Now, that has become a meme in itself. Believe everything. I've seen some memes of Chris Benoit, etc.
Everything. When they talk about the greatest team in the history of the it's like it. That's more like it. So don't ask if your dreams are crazy. Ask if they're crazy enough.
Now, this is for, it's only crazy till you do it. Just do it. Hashtag just do it. Making Twitter great again before anyone else could. Now, because of this, it's a 2.7 million views. Now, for those of you that don't really understand the foosball, I don't really understand the American foosball either, but apparently on Thursday, it's a big deal because it's foosball is coming home back to the US. Now, putting this ad on in that particular game is going to quite quickly and divisively like split the audience. A lot of people already, as we saw yesterday on Twitter, have, and this is in Twitter moments. The reason why I'm featuring this today is because it's as you can see, like even Colin Kaepernick. Let's just quickly look at Colin Kaepernick's Twitter. He has 1.95 million viewers. This is the ad from Nike that he's been paid for, but he's already changed his header into believe in something, even if it's means sacrificing everything. Very, very poignant phrase, poignant sentiment. But this is in Twitter. Now let's just go back to Twitter moments, because the reason why I brought this up was because it's massive. Now you've got these Twitter moments. You've got Italian filmmaker wore Weinstein's innocent shirt to the Venice Film Festival. I read about that earlier on, but we might talk about that later. Kim Kardashian is working to free another convicted felon, David Beckham, and then Kanye West issues an apology to Drake. Goop settles lawsuit over. We'll talk about that later. But Nike releases the Just Do It commercial. So 4 hours ago, via the NFL, they just released it. They don't care. And as people are saying, they're doubling down on Colin Kaepernick, scheduled to air Just Do It on tomorrow night's NFL season opener, voiced by Kaepernick and revealed as him at the end, starring a host of athletes, including OBJ, Serena Williams, and others. Now, there is ESPN did it, pump this into my veins, and all the different people, and people are like, the overall power message of this commercial is empowering young people to try and achieve their dreams. How many will overlook that because they're vendetta against Kaepernick? Nike clearly listened to the noise, the lovers and the haters, and in the end decided to go with more Kaepernick because there wasn't enough in him to begin with. Legit tears in my eyes. Yeah, that's more like it. Hashtag just do it. And it's the 30th anniversary. And then as some people continue to destroy their own Nike apparel and conflate Kaepernick's social justice protest with disrespect for the flag and military, it's important to remember that he consulted with a veteran before taking a knee. And there's been loads of people, Titus O'Neill, Tax Worldwide, has been talking about saying, if don't burn your stuff, give it to me and we'll give it to people like veterans and homeless people that need shoes, and we'll give them, don't burn your $100 shoes, but they still are. And I just wanted to, one more time, and this is why this is here at the front and head of the show, is don't forget. And like Donald Trump, and I wanted to quickly talk about this, Donald Trump has got involved, so let's just see what he has. And I wanted to just leave you with the one point on this. So let's see if I can find the article. Must be this one. No, that one. That one. No, when I search for it, I'm not gonna have enough RAM left. Let's do it anyway. So yeah, Donald Trump has tweeted out about this, and here you go. So Colin Kaepernick, and this is from the BBC News Sport website. Colin Kaepernick, Donald Trump criticised Nike after advert saying NFL is hard to watch. Believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything. US President Donald Trump has criticised sportswear company Nike following its decision to use Colin Kaepernick as the face of a new campaign. Kaepernick was the first NFL player to kneel during the national anthem to highlight racial injustice. The critics have burned Nike trainers. And it's Trump. Nike is getting absolutely killed with anger and boycotts, Trump said. I wonder if they had any idea that it would be this way. Huh? He added in a tweet. The president also continued his previous criticism of the NFL, saying, as far as the NFL is concerned, I just find it hard to watch, and always will until they stand for the flag. Trump's criticism comes after tennis star Serena Williams, who was also part of the Nike campaign, Nike campaign to mark the 30th anniversary, praised the company's move. Speaking after a defeat of Karolina Pliskova in the US Open, Williams called the decision to use Kaepernick a powerful statement to a lot of other companies. Williams said of former San Francisco 49ers quarterback Kaepernick, he's done a lot for the African American community, and it's cost him a lot. It's sad, but he continues to do the best he can to support. Williams tweets she's especially proud to be part of the Nike family. Basketball's LeBron James, also a Nike ambassador, who recently opened a school for schools and like funding and stuff, and Trump's been ripping on him. Added to support at an award ceremony on Tuesday, telling the audience, "I stand with Nike all day, every day." However, critics on social media have been using the hashtag just burn it, a play on Nike's slogan "just do it," which is trended alongside boycott Nike. In announcing the deal, Nike said Kaepernick, who has been out of a contract since March 2017 and has failed to find a new team, was one of the most inspirational athletes of this generation. NFL said it embraces the role and responsibility of everyone involved with this game to promote meaningful, positive change in our communities. Kaepernick, who watched Williams' third-round win over Sister Venus at Flushing Meadows, has filed a grievance against NFL team owners he claimed conspired not to hire him because of his protests. Which I totally believe. So what I wanted to leave you with here, for this story in particular, because I want to be nice and zippy tonight, is this is all about the decision of a man to get paid for his likeness and role and stuff. The ad, as you can see, and I urge you to watch this ad fully at some point. I urge you to watch that ad, and if you do, and I hope that you do, you can see that like it's a great. Oh, there you go. Got applet run. Oh, get to the Twitch applet. As I said, I'd like you to kind of think that Donald Trump doesn't like a lot of these people. Doesn't necessarily mean he's racist, but on reflection, a lot of the people that he doesn't like happen to be of a certain skin color. I'm not saying that he's racist, but what I'm saying is that he doesn't have respect for LeBron James, who has recently opened, as I said, like fundraising and kind of using the money that he has earned, which is massive, to found these charities and to give back to the community and to teach people, to help with education and social mobility within the black community. And Trump has been like... Then also you have people like Colin Kaepernick, who shows that you can make a stand by taking a knee, and that you can start a whole social discussion based on a very, very simple action, very similar to something that Jesse Owens did at the Olympics. If anyone remembers that, I mean, I wasn't alive back then, but that's something else. It seems that within sports, there is that room for people to be able to air an opinion and to help with the plight that maybe they see or they've come from. Because when we think about professional athletes, a lot of them they are rags to riches stories. And saying that, it's interesting to think that the far right, and I'm say that the far right and Republicans in the camp of Donald Trump, hello there, Uzi, in the camp of Trump, that they seem to be very. It just seems a bit weird that they all seem to hate people of a certain color. Serena Williams is also being hated on, and it's like they're being hated on for dealing with Nike. And it's very interesting that like a company which was almost built on the back of slavery is at the same allegedly built on the back of slavery is then helping awareness for racial injustice. And it's almost like, and as I said before, something that Stephanie McMahon said, which is philanthropy is the new PR, charity is the new PR. And I mean, Nike had just got themselves a whole bunch of sweet, delicious PR from just running the campaign, running it on the internet and seeing how it does, and then putting it out on Thursday NFL and making people have to talk about it because it's going to be out there. And Kaepernick has made a brand on himself, made a brand of himself even, which surpasses his NFL tenure. And he will be a rich man for the rest of his life. But it's just, does he want to be a rich, bored man for the rest of his life? And I like the fact that Nike did this as an FU to the NFL, who are one of their biggest like one of their biggest customers. It's going to be a very interesting season, NFL season. That's all I can say, and I don't even watch the footballs. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say, that which is, and as I talked before about how particular news stories are pushed to the forefront to potentially distract you. This particular news story has been buried. I mean, when I talk about the Metro in a minute, yeah, like Metro moments, this story's been buried, and it's a really big story. Yeah, like the hashtags trending and stuff, but the actual root and meat and potatoes of the story is that an ad which is more of an inspirational video of like you can do anything, featuring people who may have been told before you can't do that, people with physical difficulties that told you can't, they are. And that's what the whole campaign is, and it is 30 years of saying just do it, and it's Nike, and it's in the zeitgeist and everything. But I think it's very interesting that it's taken a multinational corporation to change and start a discussion within another multinational corporation, which is built into the fabric of the United States. But also very interesting that Donald Trump doesn't really like football, and he doesn't care, and he's just like, well, I don't care, but I don't like this ad. He gets a lot of his ad. I wonder if Trump has ever seen me. He gets a lot of his news from the Twitters. Anyway, let's move on. I feel like I've talked enough about this, but yeah, it's I can't wait for tomorrow. Now, one of my favorite of the article of parts of the show, which is in other news. So in other news today, we have this story which we spoke about before. I started to quickly go ahead. It's kind of fast. Oh, sorry. Actually, before in other news, if you would like to help support the channel, I always forget to do the shilling. I put this normally in my format as shilling. So if you'd like to help support the channel and give me some meat and potatoes myself, you can go to fowloriginal.com. If you go to fowloriginal.com, you can go down here and see all the different things, and you can go to support le channel. And if you go to support the channel, you can become a Patreon. You can help support me by going to Streamlabs and donate that way, or you can donate via clicking on my PayPal's button. Click on the PayPal button, and that will take you to PayPal, and then you can donate to Fowl Original, which is me. Then you can pop in, I don't know, $20, $2 if you want, $1. And you can make it a monthly donation if you want as well, to help support the channel on an ongoing basis. And you can log in and you can leave me a note and tell me what you tell what you like. Tell what you like about the show, and what you'd like me to put in there, and I might be able to feature you, and I will feature any donations on the show in a segment we will call Fowl Originals, Fowl Originals Pot of Gold, or something along those lines. But anyway, back to our regularly scheduled in other news. So as I said, in other news, and we spoke about this the other day very, very briefly, but I didn't realize this was such a big deal. But scallops, yeah, scallops. So scallops, there was a big row and people throwing rocks at each other and potatoes and stuff. So funny. But they agree on principles of deal. So no UK vessels will fish for scallops in the Bay of Seine during the period when the French are not allowed to catch. So that's cool. A joint statement from the two governments said talks in London on Wednesday have been constructive, and then there's a reasonable compensation package for smaller British boats which lose out. And then 40 British boats clashed with 5 crafts off the coast of northern France last week. Talks were held, and then regulations allow British boats to fish in the Bay of Seine. And it was basically that the French were saying it's not fair that the British can fish all year round. And it's very interesting. It's happening during Brexit time, and they've been asked to voluntarily stop fishing for scallops. And basically the French are like, they need to sort it out because they don't want another conflict while Brexit is happening. And yeah, they had rocks and metal shackles thrown at them, and then the French police, UK boats responded in kind. But yeah, only one French boat went out there because they didn't think it was that big of a deal. They were like, well, it is just some people throwing some rocks and some shackles, and don't worry about this. Had they not seen Les Miserables? That's a terrible accent. I do apologize to all the French. Anyway, now, also, in other news, Twitter algorithms were not also always impartial by Chris Fox. Another story that's been buried, but Twitter chief executive Jack Dorsey has told US lawmakers the company's algorithms have not always been impartial. He said the company unfairly reduced the visibility of 600,000 accounts, including some members of Congress. But he was unable to immediately say whether a majority of them were Republican, Democratic, or otherwise. Mr. Dorsey is being questioned by senators over allegations that Twitter censors conservative voices. Several Republicans, including US President Donald Trump, have accused Twitter of bias, which the company denies. Twitter does not use political ideology to make any decisions, whether related to ranking content on our service or how we enforce our rules, said Mr. Dorsey. However, he said the company had made mistakes. On Wednesday, the US Department of Justice said it would investigate growing concern that these companies may be hurting competition and intentionally stifling the free exchange of ideas on their platforms. What is the Twitter hearing about? Allegations of censorship were fueled when Twitter added a quality filter to the platform and its search results. Some users noticed that their tweets no longer appeared in search results and suggested that their content was being hidden, known as a shadow ban. This is something that happened to the Balls Deep community, #BallsDeep, Mr. Conduct Bill. Shout out to you at Mr. Conduct Bill. And he was being shadow banned and he wasn't showing up in search results. All he was doing was talking about wrestling and building up a community on a parody basis, and it was just gone. Mr. Dorsey told senators the platform used hundreds of signals to decide what to show, down, rank, and filter. We do not shadow ban anyone based on political ideology, he said. He explained the algorithm had acted on the behavior of people following accounts, so some politicians were punished for the behavior of their followers. It was unfair, said Mr. Dorsey. We corrected it. Several senators in the hearing said the investigation was a waste of time. Democratic Paul DeBon said the hearing had been triggered by deep state conspiracy theories proffered by the president, while fellow Democrat Jerry McNerney said it was an effort by Republicans to motivate their voters. President Trump and many Republicans have peddled conspiracy theories about Twitter and other social media platforms to whip up their base and fundraise, said Frank Pallone, a Democrat. Mr. Pallone said Twitter could not be accused of anti-conservative bias when it allowed President Trump to use it for juvenile tweets and misinformation. That is how you run a left with bite, yeah? That's how you do it. If you want to have a decent discussion within a political community in a two-party system, you need to have the other side be able to say stuff like that. But look, it's buried in the middle of the story. This is a fair and unbiased story, but don't you think it's interesting that this doesn't come until the end? Anyway, what did Mr. Dorsey reveal? Because it's very, very interesting. Mr. Engel asked why Twitter did not require people to verify their identity when registering an account. Mr. Dorsey said the platform had systems to detect bots and had prevented 500,000 fake accounts from even being used. Asked why Twitter relied on its users to report inappropriate content, Mr. Dorsey said it was a matter of scale, but that it responded quickly to reports based on their severity. Mr. Pallone asked how many human moderators Twitter had in the US and how much they were paid. Mr. Dorsey was unable to answer. Mr. Upton asked how Twitter determined whether somebody was trying to manipulate a conversation. Mr. Dorsey said the platform was focused on conversation health, with factors such as shared attention taken into account. Asked whether Twitter's rules were clear, Mr. Dorsey said he accepted they were difficult to understand and needed to be more approachable. Mr. Kissinger asked whether Twitter stored user data in Russia. Mr. Dorsey replied that Twitter did not have servers in Russia. Mr. Doyle asked explicitly whether Twitter had taken action to censor conservatives. No, replied Mr. Dorsey. So the reason why, again, I wanted to talk about this particular story is that you will be hearing about this story on the Twitters, whatever your general affiliation is and your follow and the people that you follow, but you will be seeing this on your Twitters, yeah? You will be seeing this, and when you see this story and you think, oh my God, I need to donate to the campaign to get Donald Trump his voice back on the platform, when Alex Jones peddles this story, and I have massive respect for Alex Jones, yeah? He's built an empire based on accusations, some truth, some proof, but accusations. And because of that, because of the empire that he's built, he can say a lot of things to a very, very, very receptive audience. And a story like this, bundled up in the right way, would really, really, really whip people into a frenzy, wouldn't it? They're denying you the voice of the president. And I mean, in a way, Twitter allowing Donald Trump to just say whatever he wants is the most surprising thing of all, really. But I mean, what they're going to do, they're going to really censor him. It's one of those, better to have him under our auspice where we can keep an eye than not. But it does show that they're uncensored and unfiltered, and they don't seem to have any kind of leaning or any kind of bias. It just seems to be how many eyeballs get on this, and that's all that social media is. But yes, very interesting story I found. Very interesting, especially with what's going on in generally within social media. Now, a sad story that I wanted to talk about, because we did talk about it the other day, which is BBC presenter Rachel Bland dies aged 40. BBC presenter Rachel Bland has died at the age of 40. It's so young, man, so young. Almost 2 years after being diagnosed with breast cancer. Her family confirmed she died peacefully at home in the early hours of this morning. Now, she co-hosted a podcast called You, Me and the Big C, a podcast about cancer. And she did this on a blog as she documented her life. And her husband, Steve, said she was an incredibly talented broadcaster as well as a wonderful and much loved daughter, sister, aunt, niece, wife, and most importantly to her, a mother to her precious little Freddie. We all take such huge comfort and pride from the amazing and tireless work she has done since her diagnosis to reduce the stigma around cancer and prove that it is possible to live life to the fullest even when facing huge challenges on a daily basis. At the end, even though her body was at its weakest, her voice was at its strongest and most powerful. He describes her as perfect in every way, adding, "We will miss her more than words can say." And she revealed she only had days to live. And she began her career 15 years ago. More than 15 years ago with Rachel Hodges, and then married fellow BBC radio journalist Steve Bland in 2013. She works as a news presenter on BBC News Channel, BBC World, BBC North West Tonight. She was diagnosed with primary triple negative breast cancer in November 2016 after finding a lump under her arm. There's her son. She began chemotherapy after Christmas that year, had a mastectomy the following year, and went into immunotherapy clinical trial this May. The cancer spread too far to stay on that treatment. And she had a podcast, honest portrayal of of cancer on a podcast, and her blog titled Big C, Little Me. And she's asked that her co-host continue the podcast, and it's a very, very very sad story, but she put a lot of people have come out to speak on her and being such a great person, and I can't personally. I've met a lot of people who have gone through radiotherapy, and it's not a fun thing. I mean, as a bystander, it's not a fun thing. It's a very, very sad time, but it's almost like you poisoning yourself to get rid of poison. It's not fun. And I mean, the fact that someone will continue to be active and vocal in the community, and just finding out that you have 2 years to live, like, and then finding out you have days to live, and just being able to kind of say that and know that people need to know that, and knowing that her podcast doesn't have a happy ending makes it more real, and not in a that will be her legacy, that she was able to document her journey, and the final part of her journey is also documented, and that's a legacy she will leave, a child called Freddie, and a podcast that people will probably find solace in for many, many, many years to come. And I just wanted to say, like, that if I could be half the woman that she is, I would be happy, I think, with my station in life. She's amazing. It's a very poignant show today. Very poignant show. In other news, woman wins £1 million weeks after fake lottery win prank. So this is an amazing story. A woman who pranked her husband by claiming she had won 250 grand on the lottery won 1 million 3 weeks later. Self-employed carpenter Daniel Pert, 27, did not believe Charlotte, 28, from Peterborough. She called him to tell him of the win. She had matched 5 numbers on the Euro Millions hot picks in the August 28th draw. I didn't believe her at all because we like to wind each other up, Mr. Curl said. He said it was only when his wife sent him a screenshot of the winning message that he realised it was true and was stunned. Mrs. Pert said her husband told her, "Can't talk to you right now, love," and then ended up putting his brother on the phone. It was definitely crazy and not a normal day, she added. Mrs. Pearl used the last £1.50 in their online lottery account to enter the draw. The couple who have 3 children together and a 3-bedroom home in Whitley near Peterborough, planning to buy a large property in the area. With a family of 5, it gets a little cramped, Mr. Pert said. All the kids have earned their own bedrooms. They're excited about that, and we're looking forward to the next adventure in our lives. The biggest thing for us is we get to spend more time as a family. We don't have to worry so much as what we're used to now, he added. Really, really uplifting story. Really uplifting story. This Donald, and I'm going to just move past it. In other news, Donald Trump denies discussing assassination of Syria's Assad. US President Donald Trump has denied assertions by prominent journalist Bob Woodward in his new book, which is going to be the most amazing series of stories we will be seeing for the next bit of time. And I'm going to buy his book, actually, and read that book. Prominent journalist Bob Woodward in his new book that he ordered the assassination of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. Mr. Trump said the idea was never even discussed with defense officials. Defense Secretary James Mattis has also denied words attributed to him in Woodward's book. The book Fear, Trump in the White House depicts a chaotic administration and nervous breakdown of executive power. Mr. Trump has already condemned the new work as a con on the public. In the book, senior aides are quoted as saying they hid sensitive documents to prevent Mr. Trump signing them and calling him an idiot and a liar. Woodward is a widely respected veteran journalist who helped expose President Richard Nixon's role in the Watergate scandal in the 1970s. So he has a lot of pedigree here. A day after extracts of the book were published in the Washington Post, another daily, the New York Times, posted an opinion piece attributed to an unnamed senior White House official saying that the root of the administration's problems was Mr. Trump's amorality. The official said many Trump appointees had vowed to thwart the president's more misguided impulses. It may be cold comfort in this chaotic era, but Americans should know that there are adults in the room, the official adds. We fully recognize what is happening, and we are trying to do what's right, even when Donald Trump won't. What's been said about Assad, so this is an amazing little... The book says Mr. Trump had ordered the Pentagon to arrange the assassination of the Syrian president after a chemical attack on civilians in April 2017. It was blamed on the Syrian government. Let's expletive kill him. Let's go in. Let's kill the expletive lot of them, Mr. Trump is reported to have told Mr. Mattis. Wow. And here we go. Donald J. Trump's tweet. The Woodward book has already been refuted and discredited by General Secretary of Defense James Mattis and General Chief of Staff John Kelly. Their quotes were made up frauds, a con on the public, likewise other stories and quotes. Woodward is a Dem operative. Notice timing. Mr. Trump says quotes attributed to Mr. Mattis and Mr. Kelly were made up frauds and the product of someone's rich imagination. And Mr. Kelly says, the idea I ever called the president an idiot is not true. He always knows where I stand. And he and I both know this story is total BS. And there's documents would have allowed, and we're just talking about a lot of documents that were removed from the president's desk to keep him from signing them, to withdraw from the North American Free Trade Agreement. So this amounts to administrative coup d'etat. The book quotes Mr. Kelly as saying, "We're in crazy town. This is the worst job we've ever had." Ex-Trump lawyer John Dowd calls the president an expletive liar. Mr. Trump's relationship with Rex Tillerson never recovered after reports the ex-secretary of state had called the president an expletive moron. Oh, fun. In other news, review ordered into treating misogyny as a hate crime. Stella Creasy is urging other MPs to support her changes to the upskirting ban. A review is to take place into whether misogynistic conduct should be treated as a hate crime following Labour MP Stella Creasy's call to change the law. The move was announced during a debate on proposed legislation to criminalise upskirting in England and Wales. On Wednesday, MPs approved the voyeurism bill, which would ban the taking of unsolicited pictures under someone's clothing, known as upskirting in England and Wales. Proposals to create a new criminal offence, which is already on the statute book in Scotland, will now be considered by the House of Lords. Ms Creasy, the MP for Walthamstow, wanted to amend the draft law to allow judges to take into account whether people convicted of hate crimes against women should get a tougher sentence if it was motivated by misogyny, or if misogyny was deemed to be an aggravating factor. Misogyny involves showing dislike, contempt, or ingrained prejudice against women. And the voyeurism bill was not the right vehicle for such a change in the law, but she sympathised. We as a government are concerned our hate crime legislation is up to date and consistent. For the first time, we're now saying as a country that misogyny is not a part of life and is something that shouldn't be tolerated. Now, she's called for an extension of a pilot project by Nottinghamshire Police, which has for 2 years been recording misogynistic behaviour as either hate crime or hate incident, depending on whether or not it is criminal. Now, number one, that there's going to be a law specifically for upskirts. I mean, you've just taken away 99% of the paparazzi's bread and butter. Congratulations, government. Congratulations. Also, congratulations to any kind of underwear manufacturers who have constantly been selling extra versions of their underwear by the fact that the paparazzi have been taking pictures of their foo-foos. Now, I think personally that it is pretty scummy. Yeah, it's pretty scummy. Come on, yeah, like it is pretty scummy to be taking pictures up. It's pretty scummy, really, isn't it? Yeah, like pretty scummy for the media to then run those pictures as well. And it's pretty scummy for that to exist. Yeah. But it's going to exist. Making it a criminal offence will make it a criminal offence. But will this extend to celebrities? Is this a law that's being brought down from high, or is this a law that's being brought down from below? Stalagmites, stalactites. You got to have a system. Got to have a system. Now, I don't know if that will be a law which will actually make sense. But making it into a hate crime, misogyny is hard to make tangible, I guess. Mansplaining this to you, I don't know if it would be easy to, and we've just seen the Roxanne Pallet stuff, so is it a good idea to make it that this becomes a hate crime? I mean, everything's already a hate crime, isn't it? Because you hate them when you do it. Isn't a crime hate? Isn't that the purest form of hate? Like the purest form of love is intercourse? That's a joke from Searching. Anyway, but yeah, I think that it's having a review on the whole situation and having a look at the article and knowing that there are MPs out there that are trying to fight for this. I'm kind of down with it. I'm kind of down with it. Anyway, in other news, Congressman auctions shouting protester out of hearing dealt with the disruption in a novel way. Let's have a look at this video because I think it is absolutely blooming hilarious. So let's just quickly watch this video.
Please help us, Mr. President, before it is too late, because Jack Dorsey is trying to influence the election, to sway the election.
What's she saying? I can't understand her. What?
Steal the election. That is why he is censoring and shadow banning.
How about a Dan? 12 and a half, 15, 7 and a half, $20, 2 and a half, 5, 7 and a half, 30. Hit $30 down here, 2 and a half, 5, 35, 7 and a half, 40. Hit $40, 2 and a half, 5, 45, 7 and a half, 50. Hit $50 down here, 2 and a half.
Officer, will you escort this young lady out, please?
Hit 2 and a half now, 5, 65, 7 and a half, 70. Hit 2 and a half now, 5, 75, 7 and a half, $80 to 5, 85, 90. Hit $100 on a 10, 10, 10 and a quarter, 1 and a quarter, 1 and a half, 2 and a quarter. Hit 2 and a half, 3, able to bomb 300. Hit 3 and a quarter. Hit 3 and a quarter now, half, 3 and a half, 400. Hit but a 4, 4.
Mr. Long.
4 and a quarter, 4 and a half. We're selling the cell phone there. 4 and a quarter, 4 and a half. Hit 4 and a half, 475, 505, 5 and a quarter, 5 and a half. I yield back.
Somehow I think our auctioneer in residence going to get tweeted about today.
Oh, yes, you are, Mr. Long. Oh, yes, you are, Mr. Long. Absolutely fantastic. And the reason why I wanted to show you that video was, if you listen at the beginning, it's that young lady speaking about how the president is being shadow banned and, you know, by Twitter, and you need to talk to the Twitters about the shadow bans and everything because it's fake news, and she's recording it on her camera so that she can get it for her small, potentially not racist group of people who want the president to do well. Make America great again. #MAGA. In other news, kind note and £10 left on Faversham ambulance windscreen. This is a really nice uplifting story. You're blocking our drive, no worries, buy a coffee when you can, XXX. Kiss, kiss, kiss. And £10. The crew said it was really uplifting and restored their faith in humanity. An ambulance crew that was forced to block a driveway while on a call-out returned to find a £10 note on their vehicle's windscreen. Gary Turley and his colleague had been tending to a patient in Faversham. Along with the cash, the anonymous note also left a note which said, "You're blocking our driveway, no worries, buy a coffee when you can." Mr. Turley said it was really uplifting and restored our faith in humanity. At the moment, there's a lot of negative notes on windscreens. Unfortunately, it's the nature of the job. We have to get to people quickly, and sometimes it's not possible to park a little way down the road or find somewhere big enough to park an ambulance in. He said the crew wanted to thank the person who left the note on the 1st of September because their shift had been busy and emotional, and it had made their day. Ambulance services across the UK have had their fair share of notes left on windscreens, with many less than being friendly. In February, a woman left a foul-mouthed note on an ambulance in Stoke-on-Trent, admitted a public order offence. She was fined £120 in order to pay a victim surcharge. Last year, paramedics in the West Midlands were left shocked by a note telling them, "You may be saving lives, but don't park your van in a stupid place and block my drive." In other news, now this was a story that came in not that long ago. We'll be moving to Metro Moves in a second. And it's hygiene tests find E. coli at the Egypt hotel where the tourist died. Now, there were a lot of tourists that died on a Thomas Cook holiday, an Egyptian hotel, and a lot got sick, but 2 died, and it was these 2, John and Susan Cooper. And it's people said that, like, I was speaking to people, and other people saying it must be the food, must be the food, must be the food. And an independent food and hygiene test were ordered by Thomas Cook, and John and Susan Cooper from Burnley died at the hotel on the 21st of August. The results are not known, but the travel firm says it did not think E. coli killed the Coopers, but it said the results of the test identified a high level of E. coli Staphylococcus bacteria, which were reviewed by Dr. Vanya Gaunt from University College London Hospital's NHS Foundation Trust. It's clear from these results that something went wrong and standards fell below what we expect from our hotel partners. It's likeness that it would explain the raised level of illness reported among guests at the hotel during this time, supporting Thomas Cook's decision to remove our 300 customers. However, neither our independent specialist nor Dr. Gaunt believe that these results shed any light on the still unexplained cause of death of Mr. and Mrs. Cooper. They died in their room after being taken to hospital. Hotel's air and water quality was tested with no evidence found of carbon monoxide and normal carbon monoxide in the victim's room, and that everyone at Thomas Cook was deeply saddened. And it says it was preparing a compensation package for any of its customers who stayed at the hotel and said they were taken away ill during their stay. Company has stopped bookings for the Steigenberger Aqua Magic Hotel until further notice. And let's just have a look. I'll see what we've got time left for. I don't really want to talk about that story just yet, I think, but there we go. In other news, crime hit Mobike suspends Manchester sharing scheme. Bike sharing firm Mobike is to pull out of Manchester after losing 10% of its cycles each month to theft and vandalism. The Chinese firm said too many had been stolen, dumped in canals and bins, had locks hacked off, or been set on fire. Manchester has become the only city among 200 worldwide to lose the service because of persistent crime. There you go, Manchester. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Mobike said it had already processed refunds and would start removing its fleet imminently from the city streets. Mobike General Manager John van der Dam said the company was very grateful to the city, which was the first in Europe to adopt the scheme last July. Throwing rocks. As a private company, we have a duty to ensure our revenues cover our costs, since unlike some operators, we do not use taxpayer money to help balance our books. A little slight hashtag there to Boris Bikes. Unfortunately, the circumstances in Manchester have not made this possible. This is Greater Manchester Cycling Commissioner and former Tour de France rider Chris Bourman said, "This is disappointing news and an outcome that we've been preparing for. Antisocial behaviour is not a problem unique to Manchester. It's been encountered in other cities. Other bike operators found a way to deal with it. And there you go, look. Vandalism has proven a worldwide problem, as this photo from Berlin shows. So there's one of the bikes from Berlin. The scheme operates along similar lines to London's Boris bikes, with users paying a deposit to join the scheme and then a rate according to how long they use them. Unlike other cycle hire schemes, there are no fixed docking stations, with users encouraged to park responsibly within the scheme's operating zone. Mobike has insisted its bikes were theft and vandal proof, but Greater Manchester Police received 17 reports in the first 10 days of the scheme. A gang in Ancoats, East Manchester, was filmed throwing rocks at a bike, trying to destroy it, while thieves would break locks and disable electronic tracking systems. In April, the firm announced a price hike from 50p to 69p per half hour in a bid to counter the damage. Mobike said it would conduct... oh, hello there, everyone. Del Targanu and Periscope. Del Targanu. Hello there, people from the Periscopes. My chat's been a bit weird here. It had warned it could also withdraw bikes from Newcastle, but said the threat to level has gone after a review. Can sit down with the police, and it's basically that you can't. There you go. Hi, we'll be suspending ourselves in Manchester since bikes no longer available. We're refunding your wallet balance and your Mobike pass. We're refunding your deposit if you had one. Goodbye's never easy, but you'll still be able to use Mobikes in London, Newcastle, Oxford, and Cambridge, and over 200 cities worldwide. Hope to see you soon, but not too soon. And in other news, let's see if I can find something nice and fun. Here we go. Ms. England's Muslim student is first finalist to wear headscarf. A Muslim law student became the first woman to wear a traditional headscarf on the catwalk of the Miss England final in Nottinghamshire. Sarah Iftekhar from Huddersfield did not win on Tuesday night, but said she had achieved a lot just by entering the competition. Ahead of the final, the 20-year-old said, "I did not expect to be making history. I do feel proud, I do." Now, if you'd like to help support the channel... Oh, switch me over to here. If you'd like to help support the channel and get more content like this on the regs, then you can support me by going to a little-known website, you may know of it, called fowloriginal.com. And if you go to fowloriginal.com, you can go down to support the channel over there. And if you go to support the channel, you've got 3 options. You can become a Patreon, which I will be, and I keep talking about it, but I will be sorting that out very, very soon. I've got a lot of content I produce on a regular basis, as you can see. And then you can do it through Streamlabs, and that will get a little peepee up there, and it will also get a shout out from me. And if you'd like to donate directly via PayPal donation, you can do that as well. And putting something in the note there, let me know who you are, and I will shout you out in the chat. You can also make this a monthly donation if you want, and you do it in dollars. So if you want to give me $25, you could do, and you log into your PayPal, or you can just use a credit or debit card. It's PayPal, it's HTTPS, it's locked, it's PayPal donate button, and anything that you do donate to the channel goes back into the show to help produce the beautiful content you're done seeing on the regs. Now, we haven't spoke about it yet, but we will do. I'm saving it till the end. But let's talk about a classic segment of the show, which is Metro Moments. So, got a copy of the Metro here, and very good copy, crisp copy of the Metro today. Now, on the front of the Metro, we have about cancer kids get wonder drug on the NHS. A game changer backed for use as Maker agrees to charge less. So that's a very uplifting story when you think about it, really. But Ole Rung del Taganu. Don't know what that means. But thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. So we've got some stories in here. So let's nip into Metro Moments today. And if I can find where I put them, we've got like Nike, talk about the Nike stuff, and talk about Trump, and other bits and pieces. Okay, now this is a funny story. So in brief, funny gin ads are not a tonic, says Watchdog. Online adverts that made jokes about drinking gin have been banned by Watchdog. The Advertising Standards Authority, which received 10 complaints, ruled that Facebook posts from the Scottish Gin Society encouraged excessive drinking and made misleading claims about sexual success, health, and nutrition. The society claimed the post, one of which suggested gin could make you look better naked, were not adverts, and therefore not covered by the ASA's code, which I think is amazing because they're not ads; they're just posts, aren't they? So we've actually talking about. I'm a big fan of gin and tonic. I'm a big fan, and we've got a picture like in here, which is it's really funny. So this picture, it says, and I remember when I first moved into this place, it's like, I'm on the gin and tonic diet this week. No, gin and tonic diet this week. I've already lost 4 days. I like it. It's fun joke, and it doesn't hurt anyone. It doesn't talk about my pee getting bigger or anything like that. You know, on the YouTube's gotta be careful. In other news, Metro moments in brief. Billy the Quid avoids jail for dealing drugs. A notorious beggar dubbed Billy the Quid because he asks people for £1, has been spared jail for dealing heroin and crack. Sukhvinder Singh Deo, who has more than 70 begging offences to his name, admitted 4 counts of supplying Class A drugs after undercover police caught him. Judge Adele Williams gave the 48-year-old a 2-year suspended sentence at Maidstone Crown Court, telling him to put his life in order. Dio got 2 years jail in 2011 after persuading a widow to part with £35,000 in Chatham, Kent. That's got a big old B. And it's another story that I was going to talk about, but they're very, very depressing stories. So we're going to keep the Metro light. Now, we've got another story here, which is from the Guilty Pleasures section, which is all about entertainment and stuff. And it's Lily Allen again. Yeah, don't know why. She's talking about sleeping with escorts yesterday, and today, Lily, selfie harm. Lily slams Instagram for fueling body image obsession. Lily Allen has blasted sites such as Instagram for undoing the progress of women issues, seemingly ignoring her own social media feed. You thinking about that, Lily? The No Shame singer slammed women who post overly made-up selfies of themselves. Like you. The pop star 33 said, a lot of progress has been made with women's issues. I feel like with the rise of Instagram and social media, something that you bore your whole career on after MySpace, I mean, do you think that it would have happened if it wasn't for MySpace? I mean, you've already been involved in your career specific. I'm not reading from the Metro, isn't it? You've already believed your career started with social media, so I don't know why you're complaining about it now. But anyway, let's get back to the story. Feel like with the rise of Instagram and social media, a lot of that is undoing that work, the mother of two added. Instagram tells young women they need to be thin and they need to wear lots of makeup and know their angles, and that's what gives them their engagement, which gives them their worth, which is not true. Allen also downplayed her recent confession that she had hired female escorts, insisting that it was not salacious or a steamy, raunchy, lesbian prostitute sex romp. Didn't think I would ever be saying that on YouTube. In retrospect, I don't know what was going on. I think I had postnatal depression and my marriage was deteriorating, and I found outlets to deal with that, she told Aussie TV show The Project. I mean, she does not to keep herself in the news cycle talking about hanging out with hoes, right? Lily? I believe that she did. And we've also got, in brief, New Yorker. Did I even? No, that's not. Oh, it is. Yeah, these are 2 stories again. So, New Yorker ditches interview with Bannon. The New Yorker magazine has dropped plans to interview former Donald Trump advisor Steve Bannon at its festival. Editor David Remnick said he had changed his mind about inviting the right-wing commentator to the prestigious media gathering. Film director Judd Apatow and comedian Patton Oswalt said they would not attend if Mr. Bannon appeared. Actress Emily Blunt, author Zadie Smith, and sacked US Deputy General Sally Yates are due to appear. And then this story. Lewinsky walks out after being quizzed on Clinton. Monica Lewinsky said she walked out on a TV interview in Jerusalem because of off-limits questions about former President Bill Clinton. The anti-bullying activist and ex-White House intern. Come on, Lewinsky. anti-bullying activist. I mean, I'm waiting for Roxanne Pallett to become an anti-bullying activist. We all learned something from this. The anti-bullying activist and ex-White House intern, 45, left after Israeli news anchor Yonit Levy asked if she still expected a personal apology from Mr. Clinton following their affair. She tweeted later that she had been misled, adding it was more important than ever for women to stand up for themselves and not allow others to control the narrative. I mean, another person whose whole career was based on something that they didn't want anyone to know about. I'm not comparing Monica Lewinsky with Lily Allen here. But what I am saying is that if you become famous for something and then you want to control the narrative and control your own life and stuff, that's fine. But when it comes down to it, Ms. Lewinsky, I love it when a plan comes together. That's what you're famous for. Oh, and stained dress. That's what you're actually famous for. Everything else from that point is just gravy. So just understand that, and then you'll know that, and then you won't make a fool of yourself on Israeli television for some reason. I mean, they're only asking because they're probably quite. That's a very nice question, actually. Do you expect an apology? And she can go no or yes, and then end that line of questioning. She doesn't have to walk out like she needs to go smoke a cigar or something. In other news metro moments, millennials, we'd die if they turned off Instagram. Food, water, oxygen, and an endless supply of photographs of your friends drinking Aperol cocktails. These are the essential requirements for survival if you're a millennial. Apparently, I'm a millennial, so what is this? It seems with nearly half believing they can't live without social media. 4 in 10 15 to 24-year-olds couldn't bear to be without the likes. I like that. It's puns. That's why I like the Metro. It's great with the likes of Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. A poll by Barclays shows. And users in the age bracket typically log in 30 times a day to check on posts from friends, family, and celebrities. As well as time, it costs them money. More than half have bought items endorsed by online influencers, and a fifth blame it for a lack of savings. Lifestyle blogger Jasmine Cecilia Jonas has teamed up with Barclays to advise young people on getting their digital fix without giving way to the urge to splash out. It's very easy to flick through an influencer's feed and see a dream lifestyle that you would wish to lead, she said. But many people don't realise that the majority of clothes, holidays, and experiences displayed have actually been given as gifts. Although I do have moments of weakness when I splurge, I always try to see the bigger picture. The poll comes after young people were urged by the Royal Society for Public Health to reduce social media usage to help their mental well-being. It hopes thousands will be joining its charity's Scroll 3 September challenge this month. And if you're watching me here, then you've already failed, haven't you? Analog. Now, I say that as my don't kill me in September. Now, what else we got? I think that might be the last story from the Metro, actually. As we're running quite short on time now. TSB boss quits after IT fiasco with 1.7 million pounds. So he quits. TSB boss Paul Pester Power, is leaving the bank with a payoff of almost, almost 1.7 million pounds after a series of IT failures. But the bank says the chief executive departure is by mutual agreement and is not linked to the system's meltdowns that left 1.9 million customers locked out of their accounts. This is quite recently, actually. Mr. Pester, who is on gardening leave, will... How do you... Gardening leave? Can I go on gardening leave? Or do I just go on Prime Minister's question times? I don't know. Mr. Pester, who is on gardening leave, will get £1.2 million in severance pay and a historical bonus of around £480,000 due from before TSB's takeover by Spanish bank Sabadell in 2015. The bank said all other performance-related pay has been frozen while investigations continue into the IT botches. In April, a switch to Sabadell's IT system left 1.9 million customers unable to access their digital and mobile accounts. On Monday, TSB had to apologise again after more customers were shut out. Interim Chief Executive Richard Medding said Mr. Pester agreed it was the right time to step down after 7 years. He said it had been planned for weeks and had nothing to do with Monday's IT woes. Whatever. Mr. Pester said it was a privilege to... Sorry, excuse my editorial. Whatever. Mr. Pester said it was a privilege to lead the bank, but admitted the past few months have been challenging for everyone at TSB. MPs on the Treasury Select Committee have called for him to be sacked. Chairwoman Nikki Morgan said it is right he should step down. Consumer group Which said the change is an opportunity for TSB to finally get to grips with the IT crisis that has affected millions. Because it was his fault, probably. And that's what they're trying to do, scapegoat him out there. But you know what? Luckily for him, he worked for a bank, so they bailed him out. Gardening leave. Gardening leave. Bloody hell. Now, I want to leave you, actually, with the final story, which is from the scene section of... the newspaper, and as I'm a big wrestling fan, we're talking about wrestling as well. This is Dave Bautista. You may recognize him as Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy. He was also in Hotel Artemis, and he was in the Bond film. It was all about the shop. As an inspector, he was an inspector, not inspector. He was in the movie Spectre. He's not an inspector. Anyway. Very terrible joke. Now this is here. He was interviewed about a new film that he's coming out in, which is called Final Score, and it's going to be in cinemas and then on Sky Cinema from Friday. They're doing this thing here in the UK where the movie comes out in the cinema and on Sky Cinema on the same day. I'm guessing so that they can go to like film festivals and stuff with that film and have it for Oscar contention or for BAFTA contention, but also to kind of give yourself two opportunities to watch it and inflates the initial. It's a very interesting idea which Sky have been doing recently, and I'm really down with it. Actually, it's getting people into the cinema, isn't it? So it's that symbiotic relationship. Anyway, Batista on Trump and Disney's decision to sack GOTG director James Gunn, the condensed version. So he's got a massive, and this is why I wanted to read this, a bit sound bitey. I will be the first to admit that they were bad jokes. They weren't funny, and some of them were really horrible. But not to diminish James Gunn's situation, this is an issue much bigger than James Gunn or Guardians of the Galaxy or Disney or myself. This decision to remove Gunn from the Disney family is a really bad thing. It's a bad thing for our country and is a bad statement for artists because people are going to be afraid to express themselves. And I think if we lose our freedom of speech, that is a really bad thing, because if you empower fascists, then fascists create more fascists. And I think this is such a horrible time in our country. Donald Trump is a horrible human being. He is not fit to hold office. I am embarrassed he is our president. For me, it is a great thing to come here to the UK and see how outspoken people here are against him. It's horrible having to see what he's done with our country. It is being absolutely torn apart. All this bigotry and racism that I've never seen before has crawled out from whatever rock it has been hiding under and surfaced, and it's so disgusting. Hello there, Aisha. How you doing? Now, as I said, Metro moments. So, almost ready to end the show now. And I'd like to end it with an uplifting story from the BBC. So, get ready to check out, as I said, we're going to go back to In Other News. Oh, and here we go, Badoosh, In Other News. And let's whack you onto this story, which is this story, I believe. It's a really, really uplifting story, and you know, it's good to see that there's some good stuff coming out of the world every now and then. Now, this story is, oh, here we go.
It's absolutely breaking news for us. My son Felix is responding well at the moment to treatment, but in the back of any parent's mind when a child is diagnosed with cancer, there's always the fear of relapse. To know that there's another form of treatment available should that happen, that's so reassuring for us.
So to kind of break this down, a new drug
T
which has been
is
released, the
a
story
really
on the
specialised
front.
treatment that takes the cancer-fighting cells from a person's body, turbocharges them, and puts them back into the person's. It's known as a living treatment, so it's not just like a pill or a drug that has a limited effect. It can work for months or years afterwards, and that's why it's considered to be a cure.
If we get him the CAR T-cell therapy, then we could save his life.
And it's a heartbreaking story.
Because his chance of relapse is so high, that leaves us in a really difficult...
Now, I want to, as I said, it's an uplifting story because this is that story about the drug and, you know, and it's a new therapy, a new criteria, and it didn't come to save some
well,
children.
It's very bittersweet, obviously, because it's a little bit late for us and our son, but we're absolutely thrilled, aren't we, Darryl? It's wonderful news, and it did start to work for Fabian, but it wasn't advanced enough. Sadly, he relapsed. Yeah.
Right. And we're just so pleased they may have learned from those early days, and the announcement today is surely, you know, a kind of legacy to him, that what he was part of in those early days has come forward in this announcement today, and it's now become, you know, mainline treatment, which is fantastic.
And as I said, I just wanted to briefly talk about that because it's a very uplifting story, that especially after the news that Rachel Bland, BBC radio presenter, has passed away today from cancer. At 40 years old, such a young age, being diagnosed with 2 years to live, and making a legacy for herself and for her family and for her name. And now knowing that there are more treatments out there for cancer sufferers. Treatment going into remission doesn't mean that you're cured, but it definitely helps. And I'd like to end tonight's show with a show which I feel like it's kind of poignant for this, and I'd like to end it with this. So you may not know it, you may not know the show, but as I said, we end every show with something a little bit different. Now, as I said, if you've just joined us now, we're ending now. We're live on Twitch.tv, on Periscope, and on YouTube. Join the discussion, join the chat, and we're live every night, Monday to Thursday, 10:30 p.m. to about 11:30ish. Gone a little bit long tonight, but it's fine. I own the network, as I keep saying. But if you want to help support the channel, you can go to fowloriginal.com. If you go to fowloriginal.com, you can go to support the channel. If you go to support the channel, you can become a Patreon. I'm going to be working on some better rewards for you guys and stuff very, very soon. And support the channel via Streamlabs. You can also donate to the channel. If you donate to the channel, you get this little lovely, beautiful thing come up, and you can pop in and whatever much you want. $25, for example. I don't know why I keep saying $25. I just want to get $25. And you can make it a monthly donation if you want to. And you can also, and then when you do that, log in via PayPal. Send me a note. Let me know who you are, where you've come from, and I will shout you out during the show, and you will have my eternal, undying love. You can also donate via using credit card and stuff if you haven't got a PayPal account. PayPal is probably the easiest way to do it. So as I said, we're going to end with this show. Which, if it's there, let's hope it is. What? I think that might be it. Let's see if it is. Let's hope that it is. Oh, it looks like it. Let's hope that we get what I need at the end. Come on. Now this is a show which... Are we there, or does it just end? Oh, here we go. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. So, so thank you all for joining tonight. Thank you for joining every night. I know that the audience has been growing massively. I want to thank you all for that. Tonight's main story was about Nike releasing the Kaepernick ad online to be premiered on NFL's Thursday night opening game. #JustDoIt. We'll probably be talking about that on Monday of next week, because we'll have a Thursday night show, but it probably won't. This won't have happened by then. So thank you all for joining us, and I will leave you with this thing. What is this thing? So thank you very, very much for joining us tonight. Oh, here we go. I'm gonna start that back up actually.
But on this.
Mom.
We messed it up, but it's fine because that's what. Oh.
My whole life would have been different.
Here we go. Well, I'll give you the whole thing. Give you the whole thing, because that's how nice I am. And that's how much I love British TV from my youth. I love it. I absolutely.
Forgive
love
me,
it.
Holy Father.
You don't even understand.
Please, make
These
it
were
better.
my life. These were my loves.
It's my fault.
These were everything that I ever needed. But I will leave you, as I said, the ending of the Christmas special of Bread.
Gotta get up, gotta get out.
Great show, a dramedy about working class people.
The game's getting out.
And as I said, I'd like to say thank you all very, very much for joining me every evening. The sport channel, GoFowl.com. You can check out my Twitter for all the fun things I do. If you're one of my wrestling fans, then I will be a weekly wrestling recap happening on Sunday at 8 PM to 9 PM. And we'll also be talking about Birmingham Film Festival a little bit more. And tomorrow we'll also be talking about anything that's happening in the news. You can send me my stories to Fowl Original, at Fowl Original, at Fowl_Original at Twitter, and also you can email me at fowloriginal.com. Loads of different ways to join the discussion. And I hope to see you tomorrow for another Fowl Originals Newsround.